These houses are now worthless. Now, we have bought and sold hundreds of property deals in the UK and internationally. Most of them have made us a lot of money, but some of them have actually cost us money. Some of the houses that we've bought have ended up being worthless. And on this week's show, we're going to be discussing the 10 property deals that you may or may not want to avoid because the houses are now worthless. My name is Russell Leeds.
And I'm Anna Leeds.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast.
Interesting topic this, because certain problems you can get around, but...
we actually teach, don't we? Look for houses with problems.
Yeah, but you need to know which problems, because some you can just look bad, but you can fix. Others can be quite disastrous.
They are.
So, shall we take a look?
So, we're going to look at 10 different property types. The houses are seriously devalued. And then we'll look at whether it's fixable, it's something that you should buy, or whether, like some of the deals that we've bought, it's going to end up costing you money.
So, number one, cladding. Properties with cladding issues. What would your take on that be?
So, this came to the forefront with the Grenfell fire.
Awful.
So, basically, the problem is these properties have got cladding that's highly flammable. It's very expensive to fix it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pay for it to be fixed because the freeholder obviously is under no...
He hasn't got
to do it. But at the same time, if he charges all the leaseholders, it's going to cost ridiculous amounts, so they don't want to pay for it either. So what's happened is you end up in a situation where you've got all these poor people that have spent a lot of money on an apartment in a nice building, and now the building's basically worthless, so therefore, why would anybody buy that flat? They wouldn't. It's seriously being devalued, even if they're in a nice area like in London.
You know, it's actually illegal now, isn't it? After the Grenfell Tower fire, they're no longer allowed to build.
No.
So you wouldn't accidentally buy a new build that had the cladding issue.
No.
Just to make that clear.
No. But if you were in that situation and you did buy it, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you bought it, even though we already know the problem's not going away. And it's not something that you can fix. This is not like
No, you can't just decide to do the cladding on the outside of your property.
No.
Because it doesn't work like that. It's all up the side. And the reason it's so dangerous is that's why so many people died in that fire, because it engulfed the outside of the building. It just went right up the side, didn't it? Because it's highly flammable. I know quite a lot about that because my dad is a firefighter, as you know. And
I know, but they might not know.
Oh, yes. So, and he fought for years saying the cladding should not be allowed, but on properties, but the builders wanted it because obviously it was cheap for the flats. And then obviously when there was the massive fire, they changed the rules. But you do have to be careful because, like you say, if you did happen to buy one, you're basically buying a worthless.
Well, banks won't lend.
No. So
you got to buy it for cash. And a lot of them have got expensive service charges now because they've got literally fire wardens on site that are there to keep them safe. But you got to pay someone on, it's just ridiculous. So for me, this is a big red flag. No, it is worthless. Do not buy it. You cannot fix the problem. This is certainly one to avoid.
Right, number two, houses with large trees on. What are your thoughts on that? Yes, no, because you might have TPO.
I would say it's a big problem.
Yeah.
It can cause damage to the property. I have lost money on a site that had a TPO. So I'll tell you the story. So we found a site in Leeds, and the site it was just a piece of land. It wasn't even a property. It's a piece of land, and it had lapsed planning permission to build a block of 5 apartments. So a smallish block, and it was really cheap. And we bought it assuming that we'd be able to get planning permission. It only lapsed a couple of years previously, so we assumed we'd be able to get the same planning permission again, and we thought it was an absolute steal, and we took a bit of a punt on it. Now, unfortunately, it had a large tree, which had a TPO on it, on the corner of the site. So we put the planning in again for what had been accepted before, and Leeds Council said no because of the tree. So we were like, okay. So we moved it back and built a slightly smaller version on our plans that was for 4 apartments. Still stacked, still made money. And Leeds Council said no. because of the tree. And we said, but we're miles away from the tree. And they're like, yes, but it's a TPO. It's a very important tree. And it might be that you affect the roots because we're not sure exactly where the roots go. So we were like, so we put in planning for 2 houses on the site, even further back, even smaller footprint, which is what they kind of indicated they want. When you go for planning, you don't just want to put it in, you want to have a conversation with them. So we had a conversation with them and they said, look, we think something like this. So we put it in, they looked at it and they said, no, again. So we appealed it and they were just like, no, because of the tree, it's not worth the risk. So would I buy something that had a tree on? If you've got the house already in place, you've got potential risks because you can't, unless the tree's dead, you could have branches falling onto the house, you could have foundation issues. A lot of people have structural problems where the tree comes in and breaks and they're just so protected.
Yeah.
So would I blanket rule out a tree? Probably not. I've also heard of developers as well that have taken out the tree before they put the planning permission in.
Yes.
And they just think, I'll buy it. I'll just get rid of the tree. But that is a big no-go because they'll just look on Google Maps.
And they'll see the tree. And if anything, they will definitely not give you planning then.
Oh, no.
They'll be really put out. Do you think, though, on that story, do you think we were really unlucky there? Like, if you went back in time, is there anything we did wrong and should have seen? Because at the end of the day, that had been granted planning permission. You would think that was a safe bet. Were we really unlucky or did we miss something that we should have known better?
I think we were a little bit naive to assume that because it had planning permission in the past, it's going to get planning permission again. Even though the rules hadn't changed. It was not like, they then brought out a rule that said this. But the problem is you're at the mercy of the local planners.
Yeah.
And
it sounds silly because it sounds all very Vicar of Dibley. Like, they all sit round the table and discuss if they like you or not and if they're going to give you planning. But it actually is a bit like that when you actually start going into the planning.
Oh, yeah. And now we've got a piece of land that's got no plan. Do you know what's really crazy as well? The people that got the planning for the 5 apartments, there used to be a house on there. So they literally knocked down the house, got planning for the 5 apartments,
sold it,
didn't do it, I don't know why, let it lapse and then sold it for cheap. Maybe they knew.
So annoying though, because if they'd actually started in any,
if they'd started, they'd have been fine.
The planning would have kept. So that's crazy, isn't it, that they didn't even do anything? Because if they'd just done the foundation work,
if they started, it would have been okay, but they didn't.
So do you think we were just highly unlucky there?
I think that we took an educated punt that didn't pay off. Like, we got it very cheap and we had to complete quickly and whatnot. So probably 9 times out of 10 on a deal like that, you probably would get it. So we were probably a bit unlucky. But what I would always say to somebody is, if you can't afford to lose, if you're happy to take a punt on it and you're happy to potentially not get planning, then fine. And we were, right? We knew there was a chance. I thought it was a very low chance at the time, but I knew there was a chance. But I would always say, if you're looking to get planning permission, make sure you get it. Your object is subject to planning, or your offer is on an object or on an option, so that if worst comes to worst, and they say no, at least you've got a way. Worst comes to worst, they can't say no because you've already got planning. Yeah. So I would say, get an option agreement or get an offer subject to planning if you can't afford to lose the money. If you can afford to lose the money and then worst comes to worst, you get no, then you're just stuck with the land and you've took a punt on it. You could probably sell it to someone else, take a punt on it, other than the fact that they'll now see it's had failed applications.
Yeah. Oof.
So, I'm running a free training where you can learn the best property investment strategies for you to do right now. So you want to get the free training, click the link below. Right, back to the show.
Let's look at another situation. What would you say about flats with less than 50 years on the lease? Don't touch, worthless.
So they are massively worth less. Not worth less, but worth less. So typically less than 50 years on the lease, you're looking at around about a 50% reduction in the value of the property. So if you've got £1 million flat in Chelsea and it's got 45 years left on the lease, it's probably only going to be worth £500,000.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth less. However, I think this is one, unlike the other two, which I think probably don't touch, I think this is one to actively look for.
Okay.
Because leasehold is being reformed right now. They are trying to scrap leasehold. They're making it very advantageous for leaseholders to extend the lease cheaper. So they're proposing on scrapping marriage value, which means it will be significantly cheaper to extend the lease. B, they're extending the term. So rather than it being a 90-year extension, it's a 990-year extension. And C, even if that doesn't come in, you can still extend the lease. The only thing I would say is it does cost quite a bit of money to extend the lease. So rule of thumb, under current rules of marriage value, whatever the uplift is, so on that example I just gave, I said £1 million flat, it's now worth £500,000. It's probably going to cost you about half the uplift, so about 250 grand to extend the lease.
Yeah.
So you need that money.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the money, then you're stuck in the same position as the poor person probably selling the flat that can't afford to extend the lease. And now you've got an asset that's going even more down in value because the longer you keep it, the more it drops. If, however, you can afford to extend the lease, then I think it's a really good strategy.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly for the people who've got money to
It's an issue
spend,
that you can fix.
But it's a great issue to have, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can fix it. And right now, you can really negotiate hard because you can turn around to the owner and say, how much to extend the lease? 250 grand. But the government have announced that they're scrapping marriage value. It's going to be roughly half that. So probably by 2028, it'll be 125 grand to extend the lease. How about this? How about I pay you 200 grand and we do it now? Or I'll just wait. Or how about I pay 175 and we do it now? Or I'll just wait. Or you could just wait if you're happy to wait, right?
Yeah.
So and the other thing that they've done is they've scrapped the 2-year rule. So there used to be a rule that said you had to wait 2 years before you extended the lease. That's gone as well. So that made it difficult for BRRs because it meant you'd have to buy it, tie up all your cash because you probably can't get a mortgage, and then sit on it for 2 years. That's gone as well. So everything is going in the leaseholder's favour right now. All the government legislation is going in your favour. I think it's a great strategy right now to buy. So yeah, short lease properties, less than 50 years on the lease. One caveat to that, I wouldn't go much less than you don't want, like I've seen properties for sale with like 7 years left on the lease.
I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder why someone's let it go that low.
I wouldn't want to go that low. Then you're talking a massive fee to extend it.
Yeah, because then you're also in a weak position. Because
they haven't got very long.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is...
Because then you haven't got the bargaining thing, like, I'll just wait for the government to bring it.
Yeah, I'll just wait. Will you, though?
Yeah.
Because if you just wait and it expires, you have to give me the flat and you lose it completely.
So, yeah, I think that's crazy, isn't it, 7 years? I don't think I've ever seen a property.
Yeah, I've
I know you were saying, I don't think I have.
If you go on Rightmove
that's crazy.
and search, as keyword search short lease.
They're in such a vulnerable position, aren't they?
I know. So I think the sweet spot for me is between 40 and 60 years.
Yeah.
Safe, plenty of time, haven't lost loads of value yet, although you've probably lost about 50% of it. So it's not ridiculous to extend. But yeah, great strategy.
Okay. Number 4, overpriced self-build properties.
Okay.
So build your dream home on a piece of land.
Okay. Is this as an investment or as I actually want to build my dream home?
As an investment.
I'd avoid. Unless you can negotiate the price. Well, the fact you say it's overpriced, it's like, well, obviously avoid it. It's overpriced. Anything overpriced. You could say overpriced flats, I'd avoid. Avoid.
What about overpriced holidays?
Avoid. If it's overpriced.
Wow, yeah.
That means you're not getting value for money. See, I don't mind spending a lot of money on a holiday if it's good value.
But what about if it's overpriced, as in some people would say it was overpriced?
Well, then it depends on your taste. But still, for an investment, why are you buying property?
I don't see why. I mean, to be honest, I think that's a bit of a stupid one. Why would anyone...
Essentially, what you're buying
is... an investment, but do like a dream home scenario.
But also, you're buying a piece of land with planning permission.
Yeah.
Right? What I've found, when people sell pieces of land with planning permission, it tends to be that the cost to build the house plus the price of the land is more than the house will be worth in the end, and a load of hassle as well.
Yeah.
So The only time I would build my own house is if I bought the land and got planning permission myself, in which case I might have got the land for an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
If you're buying it with planning permission in place, they'll charge as much as they can possibly get away with. And because the people you're competing with aren't developers or investors, they're emotional dream home people, they'll pay more for it as well. Then you got all the hassle. So unless I was like seeing it as totally a non-investment and just for some reason I have my heart set on that area, that style of house. But personally, for me, I like to rent where I live.
Yeah.
Because I like the flexibility of being able to move around.
Yeah, we're movers, aren't we?
We are movers. You buy a property as an investment, you can keep it forever. You buy a property to live in, and we've only ever done it once where we bought a house to live in. And what happened after 2 years? We moved. And now we're stuck with a house that's not a good investment, that was an emotional purchase that I regret buying because I've got a million quid.
And it's not even a good time to sell, annoyingly.
I can't even sell it. I've got $1 million tied up in that house.
Yeah.
In equity, and I can't even sell it. Well, I could sell it, but it's not a good time to sell. So now I'm renting it out, breaking even on it. It's £1 million sitting there. It's just breaking even.
And we spent loads on it renovating it because we felt like...
Don't even go there.
We thought that would be nice.
So self-built houses as an investment, absolutely no. The only time I would do it is if you managed to negotiate it down. Let's say you ran your own building company and you knew you could build it much cheaper, fine. But outside of that, unless you could negotiate it right down and get it as an absolute bargain, which you can't because we started off by saying it was an overpriced, always avoid, never good.
Always, yeah. Right, the next one, apartments with extortionate.
Extortionate? Well, obviously, extortionate service charges. No, yeah, they're the best investments, those are. I always love an extortionate service charge. If I'm ever looking for an investment, that's where I always start. When I'm looking around the properties, I'm like, what are the service charge prices? And if they're too cheap, I don't want it.
It's just so extreme as well, isn't it?
Extortionate.
Slightly overpriced, extortionate, like...
I know what you mean, though. So the rule of thumb is you want it to be less than 1% of the value of the property. So more than 1%, it's very difficult to get a mortgage. So if you're looking at, let's say, a £400,000 apartment, you don't want it to be more than £4,000 service charge, typically.
Also, I think the biggest problem here is, obviously, if you're an investor and you've been buying houses, you can accidentally buy a property. And we did this, actually. We were very young, and I didn't even take that into consideration.
No.
And we bought, actually, a masonette, which has the same problem because it was above shops.
It's leasehold.
Yeah. And we had the same. And then I was like, what's this? What, they're charging me? Like, what? We're not paying that. We're not paying the ground rent. And it was like, no, you kind of have to. And I think it's buying without even realising that that's an expense.
Luckily, it's very cheap. So with... the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it still worked.
But it's interesting because you're right. We didn't even know. I was like 19, I think we bought that. And they were like, oh, the service charge. They didn't even tell me it was called service charge. They were like painting the steps, doing this. They gave me a list. They're like, it's
we were like, no, we don't want
quid.
It.
And I was like, nah, I'm good. And he's like, what do you mean you're good? You got to pay it. I was like, no, I don't want it. It's like, you don't have a choice. What?
We were shocked.
I'm not Googling it.
Yeah, we were like, this can't be right. They can't just demand we want our steps painted.
So worth bearing in mind, if you're buying an apartment and you're running the figures, remembering you, the landlord, are going to have to pay the ground rent and the service charge. And if the service charges are high, can really eat into your yields or your return on investment. So yeah, 100% you want to be checking that. Also, if you're not living in it, you don't really benefit from the service anyway.
No.
I mean, you do to the communal areas, I suppose. But if they've got extra stuff like swimming pools, it's like, well, that's going to now, they've got gym, swimming pools, it's going to shove the service charge up massively.
Oh, yeah, massively.
And it doesn't really give you much benefit. It won't be worth it for you, the landlord. So yeah, I would always avoid extortionate service charges in apartments. And again, it's a problem that you can't fix. You want to be finding problem properties, but problems that you can either fix cheaper than the value is, But if you can't fix the problem, the cladding, you can't fix it. The service charges, you can't fix it.
A lot of these problems then with apartments, would you say they have a lot more?
Well, the tree one is not with apartments.
No, but quite a few of them I've noticed.
You do get more problems. I prefer to buy freehold as a rule of thumb.
Well, then it's yours, isn't it? I think if you're ever tied or linked in with someone else,
you're totally in control.
Yeah.
You're totally in control with freehold. So yeah, I prefer freehold. I'm running a 1-hour free training where you can learn the best ways to invest in property right now. Click the link below for more details. Right, back to the show.
Right, so another one. Would you buy a house on a cliff or near the sea edge?
No. Do you remember when we went to the Isle of Wight and we saw that house? I did an Instagram video about it and it was totally worthless because you've got the erosion, haven't you? And eventually a lot of them, if they're on a cliff edge or the sea edge, you might not be able to get insurance, you might not be able to get mortgages, and literally it might eventually fall into the sea.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? Imagine if you lived in a house that then you found out years later just plopped into the sea.
Which is a shame because it's kind of a beautiful place to have a house.
Yeah.
Be able to look out at the sea. If I wanted to live by the sea, right on the edge of the sea or on a beach, I would probably rent them.
And then move to one that wasn't about to plop into the sea.
And then buy an investment property that's somewhere safe. Yeah, you don't want an investment that's not safe, that something could go.
Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. If you've got certain thing where you want to live, that's a different situation to investing, isn't it? So yeah, you might want to live by the beach, but don't buy, because it's a stupid investment doing things like that, buying near on the cliff edge.
It would be the same as buying right by a riverbank and when you're in a flood zone risk, or even owning a property. Do you know those like places where every few years like a tornado comes and it's like, oh yeah,
damaged again,
have to rebuild it again. Or when we went to Brazil and they had those regions where they just like flood like quite regularly, like every 5 years. It's like, oh, they're all underwater. We very soon after we left. They were all under. They were sending us, weren't they? The whole house was underwater.
Well, that was a particularly bad. Like it wiped out a whole airport, didn't it?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
But that happens like quite a lot.
Yeah,
like one of because we've got family that live in Brazil, and one of our sort of sister-in-law's brothers or something. Yeah. Like his house, it happens like every 5 to 10 years.
And his house was gone.
The whole house is gone. They have to rebuild it. It's like, move.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Why do you keep building it in the same place? It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I would not want an asset that was in an area where I could lose the asset. It just doesn't make any sense. So avoid. And again, you can't change it. You can't change where the land is. It's always going to be on the edge of the cliff or by the sea. It's always going to be at risk. Something you can't change. It's a problem you can't fix. Avoid, don't buy.
So no to that one.
No to that one.
Right, next one. What about off-plan?
Off-plan's an interesting one. I have bought off-plan very recently. Not long enough ago that something could have gone wrong. So I've bought off-plan and so far so good. But I do think it's a risky area, especially in the UK. There are certain areas where off-plan seems to work well. So Dubai, I know a lot of people that have bought in Dubai. That's where we bought. You can buy off-plan in Dubai. You can get a good deal. You can lock in the price today. You can pay in small installments. And then by the end, the house or the flat is worth more than it was when you bought it. So you get yourself a BMV deal, which is great. There are, of course, risks with off-plan. And people got burnt in Dubai when Dubai first started doing it, and they had the big crash in 2008 because the market was going up and up and up and up like crazy. What people were doing is they were buying off plan, and then they were going up so fast. A month later, they were then selling that piece of paper that they'd locked in for more, and then they were selling it for more, and places were selling like 7-8 times before they'd even started building it because the market was going up so quick. And what happened is, when the market crashed, you had all these people that were left with empty pieces of paper that were worth nothing now. And the developers went bust. And a lot of them didn't build. And they were taking their money. And what they were doing is, rather than using the money to build it, which is what they're supposed to do, they were using the money to buy more land. Because they knew that if they bought more land, now they can sell a load more of these pieces of paper for a load of money. And effectively, it's a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. Accidental Ponzi scheme. Everything crashed. Loads of people lost a load of money. And it took years for the market to recover after that. It was worse in Dubai than it was in the UK because of this whole scheme. The Dubai government have then put in a load of legislation to stop this from happening. So, for example, you now can't sell your off-plan property until you've paid, I believe it's 40% of the value of the property.
Just flip them like...
Makes flipping very difficult. Yeah. Because that's even more than you put when you buy it with a mortgage.
Yeah.
You got to pay that in cash up front. They've also introduced a 4% DLD tax when you buy it. So now if you sell it straight away, the next person will have to pay that same tax, which makes it very difficult then to sell it quick.
Yeah.
Because you've got to wait for it to go up enough for the tax to be wiped off. So there's a few things. And another thing that they've done is the developers now have got to fund their account before they start taking it. So they've got a load of money on the line as well. So there's all these things that they've put in to stop that from happening. Where I've seen people get burned in the UK is with similar type schemes to what was happening in Dubai, but they're small developers, and I wouldn't even buy if you're going to do off plan, you need to buy it from a reputable developer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it from a small developer. Like, for example, we've done developments. I wouldn't buy it from us. Now, we're not going to deliberately scam anyone, but we're not experienced developers that are used to this, selling off plan. We've never tried to sell off plan because that's not what we do, right?
No.
So I wouldn't buy it from a small developer. And I've seen these Ponzi type schemes, unfortunately. I don't want to mention any names, but people in the UK are like, and they're getting loads of people to invest in their deals, and they're selling the same flat like 10 times. Yeah. And then they're repaying them with the money they've got from other people. And then it's awful. So I would, rule of thumb, be very cautious. I think in Dubai, you're quite protected. It's quite standard and common practice, and you've got a chance of making...
Yeah, we've not done off-plan in the UK.
Never.
No, personally, I'd keep away from it in the UK.
I probably agree.
And seeing how most of our viewers are UK-based, I'd say for them, it probably, unless you're going to invest overseas, it is probably a no-go in the UK.
It's a lot more risky because what you're buying is a promise.
Also, I just think there is a lot more Ponzi schemes in the UK. I think because the legislation isn't there.
Because it's not such a thing.
No.
They've had the issues here and they've sorted it in Dubai. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's something that I would be very core. It's like buying at auction.
Yeah.
Should you buy at auction? Yeah, you can buy at auction. But you've got to be really cautious because there's much more risk when you're buying at auction. And I think off-plan's the same. So, yeah, it's good, but there's a lot more risk. And often there's not masses of upside either because you're buying a brand new, finished, beautiful property. So you're paying the premium prices. You might be getting it 10% below market value or whatever, but there's not masses of upside. So yeah, in the UK, I'd probably avoid.
Okay. Right, we're going back to apartments and flats now.
Of course we are. Avoid.
Yeah.
No, we said about get the short lease ones.
Yeah, if you've got the money.
That's my favourite strategy right now. So
yes, so that's good. But here's another one. If you don't predict... Well, we've kind of touched on it, but if there is hidden upcoming communal charges that are about to come in, so say you buy an apartment and then suddenly the whole roof of the building needs doing, so they slap a big charge on. Yes. I mean, it's similar to the service charges.
I suppose the lesson here, right, obviously avoid, of course, right, but the lesson to look for is go and have a look. When you're looking at your apartment, don't just look at the apartment. Go and have a look at the communal spaces as well and see... Like, you don't even normally think about it. You don't think, well, what's the state of the roof like? You do when you're buying freehold. Yeah, but... You don't really when you're buying leasehold. Like, are they replacing... We went down to... and I don't know who's paying for this, but very interesting. I don't know, actually. So, do you know someone might be able to let me know in the comments. At the Palm Jumeirah Mall, you've got the Golden Mile running down the middle with all the... apartments and shops.
Can you imagine if the apartments had to pay for that?
Well, who pays for it? I don't know.
No, I don't reckon it will be the apartments.
Well, why would the developer just pay for it?
I don't know, actually.
So they're redoing the whole middle? I don't know who's paying for it.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? And then you just like, here you go. You liked your little communal park, but you're just paying a fortune because it's getting updated.
Well, Nikhil, I mean, it might... Who is paying for it? I actually don't know the answer.
I reckon it is Nikhil.
Yeah, it will be Nikhil. They'll be doing the work.
No, I know, but I reckon they've
just out of their own pocket? But it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
What about the government, though?
They're not going to pay for it.
No, but they do like improving the city, don't they? The only reason
it might be included, I don't know the answer, the only reason it might be is because it is public space as well. So, you know, I suppose the council paying for it. Yeah. I don't know how it works here. I don't know the answer to that.
But I feel like it will be, because they like... I think it's a bit different in Dubai. I think they are very proud of their areas. But that
analogy aside, right, let's say you buy a normal apartment, right, you'd be worth checking. Let's say you bought in JLT, right?
Yeah.
It's been there for 20 years.
Needs a revamp.
Are they going to redo the pool? Who's going to pay for it? It's going to be the people that live in the apartments, isn't it? So it's definitely worth checking the communal areas and also speaking to them and seeing, like, is there any planned works? You know, do we need a new roof? Does the pool need redoing? Does the communal area need redoing? What about the lifts?
Yeah.
Like where we live in Beaconsfield in England, the gate keeps breaking, doesn't it? And we have to keep paying for the gate. But let's say the road had potholes. When you bought that house, we'd be responsible for that.
Yeah,
even
eventually you would have to put in money.
So it's worth bearing it in mind. Are there communal areas that you might need to contribute to? Because if they are and you're buying it as an investment, I think it's quite as bad if you're living there, although it still could sting in the same way. But if you're buying it as an investment, you're buying it to make money, and now you've got to cash out for a new road or a new gate or a new pool or a new gym or whatever, or a new lift, whatever it is. Could be very expensive.
And again, it comes down to you can't just change the problem. It's just going to be like, well, this is how much it's going to cost. That you can't go, no, but I think I could do it cheaper, the roof. It's like, sorry, this is your bill.
You're out of control.
Pay it. So being out of control is just never a good thing to go for, is it? Because you're always then debating and, you know, I just think it's very difficult and problematic.
Agreed.
Right, so number 9, nearly done. I mean, I'm going to say it, but to me it's like very obvious. Static caravans.
What's obvious about it?
I mean...
Because it wasn't obvious to me you were going to say it.
To me, I just think it's like going...
It's obviously not a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough if you were sitting at home thinking it might be. But it's kind of obvious it's not, isn't it? It's not... I think if you're buying a static caravan, then for an investment, just maybe do some more educational courses.
You've got the same equivalent of the ground rent. You've got to pay the site fee wherever you are. They lose value.
Well, but then that's the obvious, isn't it? Over time, you're going to be left with a piece of tin that you're going to have to send to the scrapyard.
And a lot of the places as well have like an age limit. So it might be like after, say, 10, 15 years... it's now too old to be on that site, and they'll force you to sell it at a discount or sell it back to them. It's just not a very good investment. Again,
it's like saying is a car a good investment? Of course it isn't.
No,
because in 20 years it's going to be at the scrapyard.
Yeah,
like no, obviously a static caravan it isn't. If you want one for your holiday, brilliant.
It potentially could make you good yields. Potentially, unlikely with all the costs, but you know it's got potential to on the right side. Potentially could make decent rent roll on it. But when you're buying property, for me, you want to make making rent roll and capital appreciation, and you're not making the capital appreciation. So, you're right. It would be like buying a car that, you might be able to rent it out.
But you'd never do that, would you? You wouldn't buy a car to rent out on Turo.
People do, don't they? Well, how do you think Enterprise make their money?
That's true. Maybe buy a caravan site.
Now, that's different, because then you own the land. Although if Andy gets in, you might get taxed high on that land. It might not be worth it. I don't know. We'll see. He might already be in by the time I say this. It might already be confirmed. Who knows?
So would you... But then, your point with the cars then...
But that's a business, isn't it?
But then, so a caravan business would work, but buying an individual static caravan... Because obviously caravan businesses do work.
Yeah,
Haven works.
You could make money. What I'm saying is you could make money from it. But for me, it's not property investing. It's a business.
Yeah. You wouldn't just buy an individual caravan.
I know a guy that bought like a camper van and he rents it out and he thought it was a great investment. But it's not for me. I want an asset that's going to go up in value. Like literally someone could crash that and then the insurance company might go, oh, well, we'll pay you 30 grand. I'll pay 50 for it. It's like a car or whatever. I'm not a fan.
Right, last one we'll look at. Japanese knotweed.
So Japanese knotweed, for those of you that don't know what it is a really awful plant that destroys the foundations of your property, makes it so you probably can't get a mortgage. Well, you definitely can't get a mortgage on the property unless you get it treated. And a lot of people avoid it like the plague. It's an absolute nightmare plant, and really hard to get rid of. It's just a nightmare. However, I actually think buying properties with Japanese knotweed that are pretty much now worthless could be a good strategy, because it's actually quite cheap to fix it. So we bought a property, had a load of Japanese knotweed. It was a really big property, and it was one of the things that put everyone off buying it. And we fixed the problem and got insurance to say that if it came back, they'd come and fix it again. It was up to £1 million worth of insurance, and it cost about £8,000 to fix it. So you've got this huge problem.
And no one wants to, it devalues the property because no one wants to touch it.
So they either dig it out and then burn it, or they poison it. But we went for the poisoning method. They come in, they poison it.
Is it really obvious if you go and view a property? What are people looking? Is it just like, oh yeah, clearly?
If you know what it looks like, what I would do is Google it.
Would they ever tell you if you were going round? They would tell you it's got.
They'd tell you it's got that because you can't get a mortgage.
Okay, so you're not going to accidentally buy one with Japanese knotweed. Okay.
No, they'll tell you it's got it. It's a risk for all your neighbours as well, because it spreads really fast. So it can literally go onto their property. So you want to get it sorted ASAP. The longer you leave it, the more expensive, the worse it's going to be. So it's something you need to nip in the bud as fast as you can. And even when you've got your treatment and stuff sorted, it's okay. You can now get a mortgage and stuff, but you can't. You want to get rid of it ASAP. But buying properties with it can be brilliant. It can be a really good BRR strategy, because I saw a house actually recently on Rightmove I was looking at. It was in Coventry. It was on the market for 150. I had Japanese knotweed. Other than that, it was really nice. It was literally in Coventry City Centre, CV1. It should have been worth 230. All the other houses were going for about 230. So you've got 80 grand knocked off with a problem that you probably can fix for 10 grand. That's actually really good. Do you know what I mean? From a buy refurbishing finance point of view, it's actually not bad. So yes, it's a big problem. Yes, it really devalues properties, but it's a problem that you can fix relatively cheaply. So as long as you get it for, if you were buying that property for 200, I'd probably say no. But at 150, when it's worth 225, good deal.
Well, I think that sums it up then. So there's some, yes, good problems almost to have, because you can fix them and you can make money on it. And then obviously certain ones to totally avoid, like the Ponzi schemes. But
exactly that.
So
there you go. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you find some problem properties that you can fix. I'm Russell Leeds.
And I'm Anna Leeds.
We'll see you next week.